What drives you to get out of bed each morning? Is it the longing for a cup of coffee or the thrill of tackling a new day? This question is central to our exploration of motivation, a force so powerful and universal that it propels us towards action, achievement, and the overcoming of obstacles. It's the unseen hand that guides us through life, dictating our choices and shaping our destinies. Motivation is the heart of the human experience, a shared thread that binds us all. Whether it's the desire to scale the highest mountain or simply to finish a good book, motivation is what fuels our dreams and aspirations. Today, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of motivation. We'll explore the two main types, intrinsic and extrinsic, and how understanding them can provide the greatest motivation. So buckle up and get ready for an enlightening journey. As we dive into the realm of motivation, prepare to discover what truly drives you. Intrinsic motivation, ever heard of it? It's the internal drive, the fire within, pushing you to do something for its own sake. Diving into the concept, intrinsic motivation is a psychological phenomenon that involves doing an activity because it's personally rewarding. This means you engage in a behavior not for some external payoff like a reward or recognition, but because you find it satisfying and enjoyable. It's that simple. Imagine you're reading a book, engrossed in the story, the characters, the plot twists. You're not reading because your teacher assigned it, or because you're going to be quizzed on it. You're reading because you love the feeling of being transported to another world, the thrill of the unexpected, the joy of discovering new ideas. That, my friend, is intrinsic motivation at work. Intrinsic motivation is also the driving force behind personal growth and development. It's the reason why you might pick up a paintbrush and start painting, even if you're not being paid for it. Or why you might decide to run a marathon, not to win a medal, but for the sheer thrill and sense of accomplishment. Intrinsic motivation is like a compass, guiding you towards what you naturally find enjoyable and rewarding. It's not about chasing after external rewards or approval, but about pursuing your own interests and passions. This motivation is also what fuels our desire to explore and learn. Remember when you were a child and the world seemed full of endless possibilities? You would ask questions, poke at things, and explore your surroundings, all out of sheer curiosity. That's intrinsic motivation, the natural desire to learn and grow. It's also worth noting that intrinsic motivation tends to be more enduring and self-sustaining. It doesn't rely on external rewards, so it's less likely to fade away once the rewards disappear. It's the kind of motivation that keeps you going, even when the going gets tough. Intrinsic motivation, therefore, is fueled by personal satisfaction and interest, not external rewards. Now let's switch gears to extrinsic motivation. This is the motivation that comes from outside, like rewards or the avoidance of punishment. Extrinsic motivation, as the name suggests, stems from external factors. It's the carrot dangling at the end of the stick, the pat on the back, or the fear of the whip. These are the rewards and punishments that drive us to act in a certain way. Let's take money, for instance. It's a powerful motivator for many. We work long hours, often in jobs we might not even enjoy because we need money to pay our bills, buy our food, and fund our lifestyles. Or consider grades. How many of us have crammed for tests, spent sleepless nights studying just to get that elusive A? We do it because we know good grades can lead to good colleges, good jobs, and ultimately, a good life. Recognition, too, can be a compelling extrinsic motivator. We crave the applause, the accolades, the acknowledgement of our hard work. We want to be seen, to be noticed, to be appreciated. That's why we might put in extra effort at work or go the extra mile in a project, to get that recognition we so desire. Praise, too, is a potent form of extrinsic motivation. A kind word, a compliment, a pat on the back. These can go a long way in motivating us to do better, to work harder, to strive for more. And then, there's the flip side, the avoidance of punishment. The fear of negative consequences can be a strong motivator. We might adhere to rules, follow guidelines, or meet deadlines, not necessarily because we want to, but because we want to avoid the repercussions of not doing so. Extrinsic motivation, then, is all about chasing rewards or avoiding negative consequences. It's about the external factors that push us to act, to strive, to achieve, and while it might not always lead to deep personal satisfaction, it does have the power to get us moving, to get us doing, and sometimes that's just what we need to get started. Extrinsic motivation, then, is all about chasing rewards or avoiding negative consequences. So, intrinsic motivation comes from within, while extrinsic motivation comes from the outside, but how do they stack up against each other? In a way, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation are like the two sides of the same coin, each having its own unique strengths and weaknesses. When we look at intrinsic motivation, we see the power of personal satisfaction. This type of motivation is self-driven and comes from a deep-rooted desire to learn, grow, or achieve a personal goal. It's the spark that ignites when you're doing something you're passionate about or find genuinely interesting. However, this doesn't mean it's flawless. Intrinsic motivation can be hard to sustain, especially when the going gets tough. If you're trying to learn a new language or lose weight, for instance, the initial excitement can wear off, and keeping that inner drive alive can be a challenge. Now on the flip side, we have extrinsic motivation, which is powered by external rewards or punishments. This could be anything from a promotion at work to avoiding a bad grade in school, or even just the fear of disappointing someone. Extrinsic motivation can be an incredibly potent force when used correctly, providing a tangible reason to push through difficulties. But just like intrinsic motivation, it also has its limitations. Extrinsic motivation can sometimes feel like a chore, especially when the rewards aren't immediate or the consequences of not completing a task aren't severe. Plus, it's dependent on factors outside of your control, and that can be a bit unnerving. So, you see, both intrinsic and extrinsic motivations have their pros and cons. But the magic really happens when they work together. Imagine you're learning to play the piano. Your love for music, intrinsic motivation, may get you started, but the prospect of performing in front of an audience, extrinsic motivation, could be what keeps you going. It's this beautiful blend of internal desire and external influence that can truly fuel the fires of motivation. In the end, it's not about choosing between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, but understanding how they can work together. Now that we've unraveled the mysteries of motivation, how can you apply this knowledge to fuel your own self-improvement journey? Harnessing motivation for self-improvement is not a Herculean task. It's about understanding your intrinsic and extrinsic motivators and using them to your advantage. Let's dive in. Firstly, identify your intrinsic motivation. This is your internal driving force, the passion that sparks from within. It could be a love for learning, a desire for personal growth, or a yearning for self-fulfillment. Once you've identified your intrinsic motivation, align it with your goals. This not only makes your journey enjoyable, but also ensures that you are driven by a purpose that truly resonates with your core values. Next, tap into your extrinsic motivation. This is the motivation derived from external factors like rewards, recognition, or even avoiding negative consequences. While these may seem superficial compared to intrinsic motivators, they are equally essential. Extrinsic motivators provide that extra push when the going gets tough. Now it's time to set meaningful goals. Goals give direction to your efforts and provide a clear path to follow. But remember, the key is to set goals that are challenging yet achievable. Too easy, and you won't feel motivated. Too hard, and you might feel overwhelmed. As you journey towards your goals, celebrate your small victories along the way. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. So, take a moment to acknowledge your efforts. This not only boosts your confidence but also strengthens your motivation. Lastly, find joy in the process. Self-improvement is not a destination, it's a journey. And the key to sustaining motivation throughout this journey is to enjoy every step of the way. So instead of fixating on the end goal, focus on the journey and the growth it brings. Remember, motivation is not a one-size-fits-all concept, it's a deeply personal journey. Embrace your unique motivators and pave your own path to success. We've journeyed through the intriguing world of motivation, dissected its types, and discovered how to leverage it for self-improvement. We've explored the depths of intrinsic motivation, that inner drive that propels you to do things for their own sake, for the sheer joy and fulfillment they bring. We've also delved into the realm of extrinsic motivation, where actions are driven by external rewards, or to avoid unpleasant outcomes. Both intrinsic and extrinsic motivations have their unique roles to play in our lives. They're like the two sides of a coin, each indispensable and each influencing our behavior in distinct ways. We've learned that a balanced understanding and application of both can provide the greatest motivation for self-improvement. Take some time to reflect on your own motivators. Are they intrinsic, extrinsic, or a blend of both? As we wrap up, ask yourself again, what motivates you? And remember, understanding your motivation is the first step towards achieving your goals. Until next time, stay motivated.
If you have found this video helpful, please give it the thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching and feel free to leave a comment below.